trapezoid command simply ramps up to speed, runs for a while, and then ramps back down to the position specified. Make sure the module is configured correctly, so hit the Configure button, Module Configuration, Our Module, Configure the I/O. These are my inputs, I'm not using any, and I've assigned two outputs to be pulse, step, and direction. Step 2, set up the profile. We're going to use the same one we had in the previous video, the jog video, but just as a reminder, this is our CTRIO module. We're going to start at 100 pulses per second, and we're going to ramp up to 200,000 pulses per second. Since this stepper motor is a 20,000 pulses per revolution, and that's 10 times that, that'll be 10 shaft revolutions per second. And we're going to get there in half a second because we're going to ramp at a rate of 400,000 pulses per second. And we're also going to deaccelerate at the same rate. We're not using an encoder. We are going to initialize our output position at 0. So we initialize the hardware. We set up our profile. All that's left to do now is set up our trapezoid function. The CTRIO2 has a CT axis trapezoid function. This one's easy. We select the module we're going to use. What kind of move is this going to be? Are we going to move to an absolute position, or are we going to move relative to where we are? Let's start with an absolute move, and our target position will be placed in this register D0. You can put any register you want there, or even put a constant if you want to. Well, that's all there is to setting up the trapezoid function. Let's put some controls in here. We'll use our X0 switch to enable the trapezoid. And let's use X1 to suspend it. We need one more thing here. We need a data view. So I can put some values in that D0 register that specifies our position. Let's turn on Edit. And let's make our first position we want to go to 100,000 pulses, which would be 5 shaft revolutions. Let's accept that. Save it. Write it to the PLC. And we're ready to go. If we go back and look at our configuration, and I reset the PLC, sure enough, the configuration zeroed out our position. And now if we enable the trapezoid function by flipping on switch X0, and we watch our position right here, we can see the carriage ramp up and then ramp back down very quickly and stop at the 100,000 we specified. If I turn off this switch and turn it back on, the carriage doesn't move. Remember, this is an absolute move. Since we told it to go to 100,000 and we're there already, the carriage didn't move. So I'm going to turn off X0, and let's go out to 200,000. D0 is now 200,000. We can see that here. If I flip on X0, and sure enough, the carriage moves out to 200,000 and ramps back down and stops. If I want to go back home, well, I just put a 0 here. Write that to D0. D0 is now a 0. So if I re-enable X0, the carriage moves all the way back to 0 and stops. Now let's see how the relative command works. We simply go into the trapezoid function, flip it over to relative, say OK, accept it, save it, write it out to the PLC. OK, so D0 is at 100,000, and I'm currently at position 0. If I enable X0 with this relative command, sure enough, the carriage moves out 100,000 pulses. Remember, with the absolute positioning, if I flipped X0 again, nothing happened because we were already at the 100,000 we specified. But because this is a relative move, and I flip X0, the carriage moves another 100,000 pulses, and yet a third 100,000 pulses. So now we're at 300,000 using the relative move. With the absolute move to get home, I would put a 0 in D0. With relative, I want to go minus 300,000 pulses. Enable X0, and the carriage goes all the way home. Please make sure your CTRIO2 firmware is up to date. Use the live update here under Help, check for updates. Of course, mine's up to date, so there's nothing showing here. But if you did, you would download the files using this button here. Once you have those files, you go to PLC, Monitor CTRIO, and look right here. If this has an asterisk next to it, it means it's out of date, and you hit the Update OS button. It'll then take that file you just downloaded and burn it into the CTRIO module. Well, that's all there is to implementing a trapezoid motion using the Do-more and CTRIO2. Be sure to check out the other videos in this series for more on using motion. And as always, please send us any comments you may have. We appreciate the feedback. Spend less, do more. From Automation Direct.